Hi and good morning, everybody. I'm just going to make sure that I am online indeed. A couple of times I have done this and we weren't. So before, or if anybody is watching, please tell me that you can see me, that you can hear me. Today we are talking to a lovely Jin Hira. He's a lovely financial advisor, very approachable. He's a lovely guy. I met him one of the networking events. And we were talking about pension and anything that financial advisors do or don't do. And it's just been a very nice, relaxing, very informative call. So I thought I'd invite him in today, so he can talk to us about the pension. Are we live? I just want to check. Yes, we are live. So I'm just going to invite him into the room. There we go. Hi, Jane. Hi. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for coming on live.
Good morning, Yarka. Lovely to see you again.
So I've just given you a little introduction, that you are a financial advisor, and you are a very approachable and very nice guy to talk to. Very easy to chat about. Probably one of the most important things, really, pensions. I mean, I have to admit, I haven't really thought about pensions until probably about 10 years ago, but I didn't have income decent enough to put anything in place.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I regret not putting anything in when my dad told me 30 years ago. I was just like, who needs pension? So yeah,
Sure.
if you could, introduce yourself, tell us about, what you do, how you came about, and we go from there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Yarka, and thank you very much for having me this morning. I'll try not to keep it as formal and keep it as informal as possible because I know the topic of finance can be a little bit, whereas I try to take all of that away. So as you mentioned, my name is Jin Hira. I'm a financial advisor with Future Wealth Management. We are a senior partner practice with St. James's Place, who are our regulators. We are regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, so anything we do and say is always scrutinised by the Financial Conduct Authority. So we, in essence, my role is effectively helping my clients plan for the future. And the way I do that, and interestingly, in terms of what you said about not listening to your father, I actually do is we achieve our clients' goals and objectives. And the way we do that is by sitting down and listening to them and understanding what those goals are. When you're young and you're frivolous and all you want to do is spend money and you don't want to save for the future or any of that sort of stuff, it's quite meaningless really if you have a conversation and say this is what you should be doing. It's only when you sit down with individuals and say, well, what are your plans? What do you see yourself doing in the future? And it's by understanding those that then we can start putting solutions in place. And similar to you guys, it's having those stepping stones in place, right? So you can actually get to and meet your end goal as well. So we do holistic financial planning, and what that actually means is, and I know we're talking pensions. However, it's about understanding the bigger picture. What is the most important thing to you? Is it your children? Is it mortgage protection? Is it retirement? What are your aims? And then by doing that, and by only sitting down and listening, is we can actually put a plan in place, really. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what we kind of do. Yeah.
Okay. So is it just you? Are you working from home?
Gosh.
What's
So ideally, in the real world, we meet face to face. However, in the world that we're living in now, everything is done virtually. We do a lot of Zoom calls. We managed to, as a business, pivot the business and make sure that we were in contact with all of our clients and doing it on a virtual basis. And a key one to think is that we adapted new technology but we also used old technology as well. So imagine calling this old technology. So,
So
so
what's the
we were
new
on
technology?
this Zoom.
Oh, Zoom. Okay, with you.
Yeah, Zoom, Stream, Microsoft Teams, and so forth as well. Very few people were in tune with Zoom meetings and so forth. And a lot of our clients are a little bit older and they're a bit technophobic, and so we use the phone. So that's how we basically did it. Within the business, there are 24 of us, where there's 8 advisors, and then the remainder are support staff. We've had a very good year this year. We've managed to keep track of our targets, but like a lot of businesses within the UK, we've fallen short a little bit. However, we have managed to fulfill our commitments with all of our clients and grow our business at the same time as well through new clients as well. If there's one thing I could say is I did my largest career case through lockdown, having never met the client.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of like shows a lot of trust in terms of who they're dealing with, a reputable organisation. We've got offices in Bath, in Weston-super-Mare, also in Gillingham as well. And we've got a lot of experience. If I don't know the answers, I most definitely know somebody I can go to who will know the answers.
Yeah. No, I like that, because I usually say the same thing. I mean, I'm an accountant, qualified, experienced, but I don't know it all. I never claimed that I know it all. And if anybody says, "Oh, you don't know this," and you claim yourself to be an accountant, I was like, "Well, yes, I am an accountant, but I'm not. I'm not a superhuman. But we are an office of 7 now, and if I don't know, there is definitely somebody in the office who knows."
Absolutely, and it's about that, isn't it? It's not sitting in front of a client and saying, "Well, I know it all." It's about giving them the confidence of going, "I'm not
We're all
sure about
human.
that. Yeah, but I'll go away, have a little look about it, and have a chat, and I'll come back, and then we'll go forward from there." So yeah,
Exactly.
it's about that.
So going back to pensions now,
Sure.
how does it actually? I mean, say I know nothing about pensions. I know very little about pensions. So what's the best place to start, other than calling you? Say somebody may be intimidated by talking to a financial advisor. What's the best way for them to actually go and look for a package, or who the providers are? How do you judge that a pension is a good pension?
Okay, so
Sorry,
most
I'm gonna put
pensions
you on a spot
do
here.
exact. No. That's absolutely fine. Most pensions do exactly what they do on the tin. It's about putting money away for the long term, and then you're going to then withdraw that money in the long term, where you can then actually draw a pension and an income. Most providers, most organizations do exactly the same. What you want to be looking at is individuals who will, A, provide you with a no obligation conversation. So you just sit, you just chat, you listen, you understand what they want to do, and then go away and put those plans in place. In addition to that, what you also want to do is potentially work with someone who's going to have your interests, best interests at heart. And what they're going to want to do is then say, okay, yeah, okay, you and I, let's work together. You wish to retire at the age of 65. These are the stepping stones that we're going to put in place to get to that. And by doing that, we will meet on a 6 monthly, on a yearly basis, and we'll understand, well, the plan you've got in place, is it doing what it's doing? And if it's not, why isn't it? And what can we do to then change that? So in answer to your question, you want to be able to be working with someone who you're comfortable with, somebody who works with a reputable organization as well, making sure that they're also regulated and they have your best interest at heart. So in a nutshell, pensions are, as I mentioned earlier, it is for the long term. It's not for the next 5-10 years. It is most certainly a lot longer than that.
So it's not really something that people sign up and they just stick to it for the next 20 years. It's really something they need to keep maintaining on a daily
Absolutely.
basis. Afterwards, you
Absolutely.
can then obviously switch and swap.
Yes, you can. If it's If it's the right thing for you to do, and that's an area that future wealth management do get involved with, we can then look at pension statements, and if it's the right thing to do. And most certainly now in the COVID scenario that we've experienced, a lot of people have lost their jobs, a lot of people have been made redundant. As a result of that, they've left behind potentially company pension schemes. Now they will be sat dormant doing nothing. They will still be continuing to grow. However, they won't be actively managed on their behalf. What individuals can do from that basis is that they can get in touch with ourselves, and we can then look at it. And if it's only the right thing for them to do, we can then mitigate it all into one area where it is then actively managed on their behalf. And that's what you really want to do.
Yeah, because now, especially with the auto enrollment and people going from one job to another, you are potentially, say, 3 years' time, 5 years, five different jobs. You may potentially end up with 5 different pension schemes.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so is that something that you then break it down for them and try and put them all into one place?
If it's the right thing for them to do, then yes, we will do. What we will do is look at all of the separate pots that are out there. They've gone from company A to B to C, and now have settled with D, and they've got 3 other pension pots out in the ether. They receive a pension statement every year, and they look at it and they think, we'll just file it, and we won't do anything with it. What I will then do is I will sit with them and I will actually understand what benefits they have, what the value of those benefits are, what the charges on those pensions are. And then if it's the right thing for them to do, then we'll put it all into one centralized area. So they can actually go, well, you know what, all of these 4 I've got in one area here. However, I've got to caveat that we would only ever do that if it is the right thing for them to do. If it's not, we will actually come back and say, it's better off leaving them where they are than they are to put them into one area.
What would make it better to leave them where they are? Is it the percentage, the terms?
The terms, it's the benefits. They could have guaranteed pension benefits within the current provider, which a new provider may not provide. So as a result of that, it's better to leave it there. And also valuations as well. It could well come to, well, evaluation by moving it, there could be a lower value or transferring it. Therefore, it's probably better off leaving it where it is as well. So there's a lot of scenarios what need to be considered before you can actually move it, and the work that goes into that is very time consuming as well. And we would do that for under no obligation as well.
Okay, that's pretty good. So I just as you talk, I keep hearing all little questions sort of popping up.
Sure.
So if that particular pension is so good, why don't we then move all the bad ones or the non-profitable or stuff that you would potentially dismiss and put in a different pot?
Absolutely.
Into the good one. Can you do that?
Yeah. So if what you're not in a position to do, if you've got an old pension and it's dormant and it's just sat there, you then cannot move new pension providers or pension pots into that one. So that's actually ring fenced off for the ex-employees that were part and parcel of that pension. So what you can't do is then stop dipping into that. Once you've left and you've left that behind, or unless of course you take it with you.
Okay.
So what you can't utilize is you can't say, oh, I've got a great one over here and I just want to continue with that, but I don't want to work with that employer.
Yeah, exactly.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So when you were talking about no obligation, how does it really work? So say I personally have 2 pension pots, 3 maybe. But there is not much in there. So if I was to come to you and you give me advice, how does it work and how much would it cost me?
Okay. So in terms of how it works, what we would do is I would sit down and listen to what your objectives are, what your goals are, what you're looking to achieve. And if you have got those 3 pension pots that are sat with previous providers, I will then ask you to sign a letter of authority where I can actually approach them and get information from those providers.
Yeah.
And it's only once when I've got the information from the providers, we can then start to map out what the pensions look like and so forth as well. If and only if you then decide to move them, and we sit and we agree and we say, actually, Yaka, it's beneficial for you to move it, and these are the reasons why. Because at the end of the day, St. James's Place, who are the corporate governance body that we work with, they would have to underwrite the advice that we provide, and they would guarantee that advice. So that will then go to them, and I would say, I'm speaking to a client called Yaka. I've had a look at her 3 pensions, and I'm advising her to move these 3, and these are the reasons why. They will look at it and think, actually, okay, we see that, and we can see the reasons why. If the client's happy, then we will move them. If you decided not to, we leave it there, and then there is no cost and there is no charge for my time for putting all of these things together. If you decide to move it, then what we then sit down is I will sit down with some illustrations, and I will show you what those charges are to move that pension. And it's very difficult for me to actually state over this call now exactly what they would be and what they would look like, because it's on an individual basis. It's quite specific to each client. Costs vary in terms of what they will be. However, the one thing I will say is when it comes to pensions, the client isn't charged. I wouldn't then send you a fee for £2,000 and say, Darka, for moving this pension, here's a fee for £2,000. Can you please pay that to us? We don't do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a back end process for all of those charges that we sit down and specifically go through with each individual client. But the key thing here is that all of the conversations that we have and the time that we spend with a client, we don't charge for that.
Okay, I'm going to drill you a little bit more for just a
Sure.
little bit more information. What does it then depend on? Does it depend on the value of the pension? Do you take a percentage?
Yes, it does. It will be dependent on the value of the pension, and then a percentage of that will then be converted to a charge. So yes, which is why I cannot say specifically.
Yeah. So
we charge 5,000. Oh no, not as high as that. No, it would be anything between 1.5 to 2.75%.
Okay. Because my pension.
But as I said,
my pension is quite tiny, so your commission is probably going to be more like £10. No,
I've done things for less, so that's all fine. But the key takeaway here is it's not about what we can earn from it. It's about doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No,
Yeah, and that's the key takeaway, because I have sat with several clients in the past, and I've had an individual who's come to me and said, I'd like to do a regular pension, Jin. And I've sat there thinking, okay, let's go through a few bits and pieces. And having gone through his annual turnover, where I sat there and I says, you don't really have the funds there to be able to do a regular pension contribution, because his income was quite sporadic. He would get large chunks of it, then nothing, then large chunks of it, and then nothing. So doing a lump sum was better for him as opposed to doing a regular. So I sat with him and we went through it all, and he said, this is really interesting because you're telling me that you don't want my business. And I said, it's not about not wanting your business. It's about doing the right thing for you. And he sat there and he said, oh, wow, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then after that, we really did go. So he's going to set a pension up in the new tax year, when we've got better understanding of his last year's turnover. Because of COVID-19, he was he wasn't furloughed, but a lot of projects went out the window, and he just couldn't keep up
Yeah.
with it, and his income dwindled,
Mm.
like a lot of people have.
Yeah.
So it's about doing the right thing.
No, you just reminded me. I had an inquiry. Somebody said whether we do accounts for CIC, which is the community interest company. So it's
Hmm.
very similar to charity. But anyway, it was about, do you do CIC year-end accounts? I was like, yeah, we do that. I was like, what's your? And we just kind of got talking. And it's like, well, actually, the reason I'm asking is, yeah, I've got an accountant already, but they are very busy, so they can't really do it for us before the deadline. And I've looked at their company's house, and I was like, well, because of COVID, they've now extended the year-end accounts deadline by 3 months. So if it's
Yeah.
due by the end of December, it would now be due by the end of March. Oh,
Hmm.
so I've got another 4 months. So I can stay with my accountant. I was like, I'm going to talk myself out of a job, but yes, you can. Unless you've got other reasons to switch, you can totally stay with your accountant because they've got 4 months potentially to do it, and they might have time in February because of the year because of tax return season now and all of that. So they'll probably do it in February. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So I took myself out of a job, but like
Yeah.
you said, it's just doing the right thing. I'm not here to rip people off,
No,
or
and that's the thing. I'm a key believer in when you do the right thing, then you send the right message out to the universe, and then all of a sudden everything then actually does come back to you.
yeah.
So I'm a big
Fingers
believer in that.
fingers crossed.
Well, absolutely. So over the past 6 months, I have been doing something very, very similar. I've been chatting to a lot of clients. A lot of finances have been shelved because they were looking good to go through things. And over the past 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, of the last 2 months, everything is just coming back. It's coming back, and it's coming back, and it's just gone. It's just gone.
That's good.
Amazingly busy for all of us.
I've
But
got
it, but
two.
it
I've got
is.
two little questions for you.
Sure.
Say somebody like me, for example, having three pensions and sort of
Mhm.
managing it but not really managing it. What would you recommend would be the best tool, I suppose, or the best way to
Yeah.
actually keep a track of these pensions?
So the one thing I would recommend is that if you have got existing pension pots, and let's take you for example, Yaka, if you've got three pension pots out there in the ether, the first thing I would do is get statements for all three
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. And if a lot of providers now allow you to have online access as well,
Yeah.
even though you may not be part of the scheme in terms of a participating member. So I would say get yourself a statement, get yourself online access as well. And then from that, then it will give you and allow you to form a certain little picture, thinking, actually, I've got 5,000 there, I've got 10,000 there, I've got another 10,000 there. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, you've got a small pension pot. And then you think, what do I do with this? And then you then come to someone like myself and say, Jin, can you have a little look at these and say,
What can I do with
what are
it?
my options?
Mm.
Yeah. And that's the kind of general starting point, for all individuals. If they think, I've got a little bit here, I've got a little bit there, I've got a little bit there. A very quick story. I was chatting to a client of mine. I went to go and see him, and he says, I think I've got this, I don't think I've got that. And then all of a sudden, we mapped it all in, and he had five. And he was of the age that he could actually start to take benefits from his pot. And all of a sudden, he received a £15,000 tax-free lump sum, and he would not have got that unless he'd instigated it, but probably wouldn't have even instigated it if we weren't having that conversation. So it's
Yeah.
just that little reminder.
Yeah.
What else have you got? And all of a sudden, people do sit in papers and papers and papers of God knows what,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they go, I wonder what's in that, and then they uncover some little treasures, little gems, and they go, oh, I don't remember having that. I don't remember having this. So
I've
yeah,
got so many questions popping into my head. I've got one last one. Now
sure.
you're talking about those pots and everything. Say, is there a way to actually find out say somebody's got, I don't know, 3 pots, or not even knowing if they have a pension pot. Is there any way you can find out if they actually have any more pots lying around? Because people, I think, forget.
Yeah, the only way to do that is just to recall where you've worked, who it was potentially managed by, and then you could do some background digging to potentially to see
Okay.
whether or not you had anything there. It's a difficult one, and it's a long process, long drawn out process. But if you had something there in the past, there will be records of it being there as well. It's
Somewhere.
just trawling through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Is it
trawling
something
through
you
and
do
finding
for
it.
your clients?
It's not something that we do. I do pick things up with some of my clients when they say, I think I had this. And then I'll go away, I'll ask the question, has anyone come up with this historical information? And then I'll do a little bit more research and I'll try and pull things together. Invariably, it's difficult because it's easier for the client to do ring up someone and say, oh, by the way, I work there. This was my national insurance number. Especially in the world we're living in now, and trying to make a phone call to a provider,
Yeah.
you're potentially on hold for about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I bet. It's a bit like
And
HMRC.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And not everyone's in the office. It's rerouted to the houses and so
Yeah.
forth as well. So it's just taking a little bit longer. But
Yes.
in answer to your question, if there is something there in the past, there is a facility of digging up and going, yeah, I'm going to find out if I have anything back there.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness, Jen, it's been absolutely amazing having you. I think I'm gonna have to stop it there. I still have so
That's
many
fine.
questions myself, but yeah, we'll probably catch up another time.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. If I
No.
have any more questions, I could see that people were kind of dropping in and out. So if there is any more questions, I'll definitely let you know so we can
Yeah,
cover
if they come
those.
via yourself, and I'm more than happy to field them.
What's the best way to contact you before we go?
So you can either drop me an email, or they can come via yourself, or I can shower you with my contact details.
Is it okay I put all of that into the comments?
Yeah, sure.
Cool, brilliant. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh my
Thank you,
goodness.
Yaka.
Thank you very much, and I'll yeah probably be. I'll stay in touch, and I'll probably invite you again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ginny.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
day.
much.
I'll stay on for a little
Thank
longer
you.
to say bye. Bye, yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Oh, wow. So, hi, everyone. We had a lovely interview with Jin Hira about pensions. He's got a very refreshing way of looking at things, or I find anyway. He's got so much to say and to contribute and to share. So if you guys have any questions about pensions or anything else financial advisor related, definitely let him know. I'm going to share his contact details in the comments. So feel free to call him. Feel free to send him an email. He'll be more than happy to chat and help you out. Like he said, he's actually not charging anything until you decide until you come to a conclusion that he's going to actually put your pension pots into one and actually sign up for one of his products. So if there is any chatting, any investigating to do for your pension, he'll be more than happy to help you, and you don't actually pay anything until then. And even then, it's only a small percentage of the value of the pension. He said something about between 1.5%, and I think he said 2.5. Yeah, until then, I'll post the comments in there, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.